The old Willow Creek farmhouse stood on a hill overlooking the town. It was a grand house once. Now it was a decaying relic of a bygone era. The paint peeled and the windows were boarded up. The front porch sagged dangerously to one side. Locals told hushed stories of the house. It was a place of tragedy, they said, a place of sorrow and secrets. The stories spoke of a family murdered within those walls. Jealousy and rage motivated the killer. No one had lived in the house since that dreadful night. It stood empty, a monument to a terrible past. The townsfolk avoided the house. They warned their children to stay away. But the old house held a dark allure. It whispered on the wind, beckoning those brave enough to listen, dare to uncover its secrets. Sarah was a writer drawn to the unknown. She had heard the whispers about Willow Creek. The stories intrigued her. She felt the pull of the house. She knew she had to experience it for herself. Sarah rented the farmhouse sight unseen. She ignored the warnings of the townsfolk. This was her chance, she thought. Sarah would be the one to uncover the truth. She packed her bags, her laptop, and her research materials. She was ready to face the unknown. What Sarah didn't realize was that the unknown was waiting for her. The house was ready to awaken. The first night in the house, Sarah felt it. The house was cold, colder than it should be. The air was heavy. It was like a shroud clinging to her skin. As she explored the house, she heard the whispers. They were faint at first, like the rustle of leaves outside a window. Sarah paused, listening intently. The whispers seemed to be coming from the walls themselves. They spoke of sorrow, of anger. They spoke of her. Sarah shivered. She couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. As the days turned into nights, the strange occurrences intensified. Sarah felt cold drafts in certain rooms. The temperature would plummet, leaving her chilled to the bone. The whispers grew louder, more insistent. They seemed to follow her from room to room. Then there were the shadows. Sarah would catch glimpses of movement out of the corner of her eye, flickering shapes that vanished as quickly as they appeared. She began to feel a presence in the house with her, something unseen, but always felt. One rainy afternoon, Sarah discovered a hidden compartment in the library. Inside, she found a leather-bound diary. Its pages were brittle with age, the ink faded but still legible. The diary belonged to a woman named Emily. She had lived in the house over a century ago. Emily's words painted a picture of a happy family. She wrote of her husband, her children, and the life they built within the walls of the farmhouse. But a darkness stained the pages of the diary. Emily wrote of a stranger, a man named Edward who had come to town. Edward was handsome and charming, Emily wrote. He had set his sights on her. Emily feared him, but she was also drawn to his charisma. He was a dangerous combination. Edward was in love with Emily. He showered her with gifts and attention. But Emily was a married woman. Her heart belonged to her husband. Edward was consumed by jealousy. He couldn't bear the thought of her being with another. Emily tried to distance herself from Edward, but he refused to be ignored. His love turned to obsession. He began to threaten her, her husband, and her children. Emily was trapped. She feared for her life and the lives of her family. One night, Edward's jealousy boiled over. He broke into the farmhouse. Emily's diary entries ended abruptly on that terrifying note. Sarah's heart pounded as she read the last few words. She could almost hear Emily's screams echoing in the silence of the old house. Sarah realized with a sickening certainty what had happened. Edward had murdered Emily and her family in a fit of jealous rage. Their spirits now haunted the house. They were the whispers she heard, the shadows she saw. Fear coiled in Sarah's stomach. She was not alone in Willow Creek. She had become a prisoner of the spirits that haunted the house. They were watching her, studying her every move. The whispers grew more frequent, more menacing. The shadows seemed to press in on her, suffocating her. They whispered Emily's name over and over again. Sarah felt a hand on her shoulder. It was icy cold. She turned, but no one was there. Weeks later, Sarah's friends grew worried. They hadn't heard from her. They decided to go to the farmhouse. When they arrived, the house stood silent. The door creaked open when they touched it. The house was empty. There was no sign of Sarah. Her belongings were gone. The diary was gone. The only evidence that she had ever been there was a single sheet of paper left on the floor. It was a page from Emily's diary, the page that detailed the murders. Sarah was never seen again. Some say that she was driven mad by the spirits of Willow Creek. Others say that she was taken by the ghosts claimed as their own. The old farmhouse still stands on the hill. It is a stark reminder of the tragedy that unfolded within its walls. The legend of Willow Creek continues to grow with each passing year. The whispers of the house, the shadows in the night, the spirits of Emily and her family are said to still roam the halls. They are waiting for the next unsuspecting soul to cross their path.